Module 10, which is working with servicers. So we're going to talk to you just about the whole flow of how third-party servicing works.
All right. Well, the first thing that is very important is understanding that the loan servicer takes the skill set of the passive partial investor away, right? Because you're relying on the skill set of the servicer. They do the work.
Right, they do the work.
And so they collect the payments, they handle taxes and insurance, they're licensed and compliant, and any kind of borrower workout, they would do that. Now you
do that as well.
Always in your agreement retain a power of attorney.
I do. I have an agreement that I can manage the loan.
On behalf of the partial investor.
On behalf of them, so that I can, work with the servicer, because we have been in this business for a very long time, and we feel like there's very few workout situations that we would not have seen before. So we just know, and we feel comfortable doing it. Yeah. And so, and my investors that I work with, they're very passive. They don't want to work anymore. A lot of them are at retirement, or they're busy executives. They don't have time to go deal with a default or anything that comes up on an asset. So
there's a lot of difference between a sophisticated note owner and a passive note owner. Okay. So if we are dealing with a passive note owner, we're not going to let them service their own loans, period. We just have had not good experience with that. They don't do the right things, and then all of a sudden they jeopardize the back end interest in our loan. So the money goes to the servicer, right? Then it goes on to the note owner. So they're basically wiring the money into their account every month.
Right.
And it is a passive transaction on behalf of the note owner. And this just, if you want to know the single thing that we've learned about this business over and over and over, is this function is it. I mean, this is the most critical part of that outsourcing. And we just can't say enough about it, right? They own a note without having to manage it, right? They want to hit that button, right? That easy button.
Exactly.
They do.
Yeah.
And I'm just sort of animating this one more time. The money goes from the borrower to the partial holder, whatever term he is, and then that money is then forwarded on to the payment is on to the investor every month, and that is the most critical thing that we can say about the whole relationship. So. Loan servicers, Martha, you've dealt with them a lot in a lot of different capacities, right? And I just wanted to kind of talk this through with you for a little bit. Like there are specifically servicers that understand partial agreements.
Right.
Not every servicer does understand a partial agreement. And the way that partial agreement can be drawn, it's just a buy-sell agreement.
It is a buy-sell agreement, but from the servicer standpoint, you need somebody that does keep track of both parties' interest, because if you're the residual holder, if you hold the back end of the loan, well, then you want to be able to see at any time what the amortization schedule is on the full amount of the loan, like the loan itself. And then you also want to be able to see on the partial side, well, what is that investor's, your partial investor, what is his amortization? So we have an amortization on both, which goes along with the receivable purchase and sale agreement, our partial sale agreement, so that we can see that at any time. But we want a servicer that will also be watching that at any time, because if there's a payoff, they need to know, oh, here's the balance that's due the partial buyer, and here's the balance that's due the person that owns the back end of, the back end payments on the loan.
Right.
So
there is specialty knowledge required here, because not every servicer is experienced in servicing partials.
Right. Not yet. That part of it too, and then also it's. How is their system set up? And they may not be set up to put in two amortization schedules on one loan.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what they're having to do.
So you're very protective of this process, because this is not only good for your partial investor, but this is critical to make sure that you get what you're supposed to get in the way of if something happens in a default, or if something happens and it pays off early.
Exactly.
Right? Anything other than absolutely just a regular payment every month.
Right. Yeah.
And then, as we said earlier, you generally will retain a power of attorney for the passive investor so that you can instruct the servicer. You don't do anything secretive.
No,
it's
I
not like
mean-
the investor doesn't have ability to know what you're doing.
Right.
You're just more equipped to make servicing decisions,
Right.
executive decisions on behalf of who owns the loan.
Right, exactly. And there's management to it. And so it takes the passive investor who doesn't really want another job or want to, they don't really want to get up and go to work every day, right? And so it just takes kind of that part of it to where they don't have to worry about it. Our approach is if we have something that's comes up on a loan, if it starts being slow pay, anything like that, well, we're going to start reaching out to our passive investor right away. Communicating with them. Well, this loan, if it's 45 days or 60 days delinquent, we're going to be letting them know, we see that there's a little glitch in the payment history. We're reaching out to the borrower. We're working on this. We're working on these continually all the time if something comes up and that's important for them. They need to know, but we're communicating that to them.
Yeah. We don't recommend, unless you're a very unique situation, we don't recommend that you, the partial seller, retain the servicing. Martha doesn't do it on her accounts, and there are some legal reasons that we think that that's probably not the right thing to do, that it should be third-party serviced. If you own a licensed service company, that can be a different conversation, but that would be fairly rare. So we're just saying, I know you can save a little money. We totally got that. You can save a little bit of money. And Martha doesn't do it. We don't recommend it. It's just because we've learned from experience that having that third party that is the licensed compliant servicer and the custodian for the money it makes a lot of sense. So that's just a little bit of, this is a short module. We just want to talk about the servicing piece a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And but this is definitely a critical part of the equation. And something that we feel confident we're giving you some advice based on a lot of experience in trying different things. We think that what we're giving you here in this module are best practices. All right, that's how you service a loan on a partial. We will see you, Miss Martha. We are closing up. We're going to talk about how to find the money.
Right, we're going to talk about sourcing investors.
All right, we'll see you then.